I'd like to introduce you to someone who we're hopefully going to see in a second. Think about who I'm going to introduce you to, okay? All right. So, I'm going to introduce you to our little dragon. No, I'm going to introduce you to Alex, a 5th grader, born to a poor family living in the outskirts of Sofia. He has 2 younger siblings who take most of his mother's time when she's away from work. His father tries to work to feed the family, but often gets sick and stays at home. When he stays at home, he drinks to forget about his pain and about his difficult life. Worse, when he drinks, he gets aggressive, and he sometimes ends up hurting physically Alex and his mother. So Alex tries to stay away from his dad, but clearly they live in the same home. Given this very challenging family environment, clearly no one puts much effort into helping Alex to prepare for school or expects him to perform and behave well there. His father is mostly worried about Alex helping his mother to take care of his siblings, rather than about being successful at school. Alex gets so stressed out at home that when he goes to school, he gets bored very easily, he gets distracted very easily, and he's just not present. He's really not interested. He's impatient, he wants to be listened to, he wants to be respected, he wants to be obeyed. He's demonstrating his needs in a highly aggressive way. So imagine you were one of Alex's teachers or classmates. What would you think about this guy? You'd likely hate him. You'd hope he gets moved to another group or to another school, even better, as soon as possible. You see this slacker. He's behind on his grades. He comes in and goes out of the classroom whenever he wishes. And he's always noisy and just undisciplined and very aggressive. Simply put, he's a failure in life from the start. He's disengaged, he's impolite, he is lazy, he's plainly incapable. And of course, a person who is incapable deserves being reminded of that, being disdained, being constantly scolded, because he needs to realize what he is. And that's how Alex gets to learn who he is, through the attitudes of his teachers, his classmates, his parents. You've got a pretty clear picture of Alex now, right? Think hard for a minute. What would you expect of this guy when he turns 25? Would he have graduated from high school? Would he have applied to university? What would his top choice major be? Would he have been admitted to his top choice? Would he have found a wife and got children? And what would the prospects for his children's lives be? I'm pretty sure you've got a very clear and good picture in your minds. I mean, this guy has all the characteristics of a typical school dropout. He's not particularly smart, he's not well educated, he doesn't have the economic backing of his milieu. And there's nothing much we can do about it. I mean, some people are just born unlucky. It's a simple fact of life, right? Well, that's what our intuition would tell us. And when I asked you to think hard, if you came to the previous conclusion, I challenge you to think again. If you believe that he's the typical school dropout, you really trusted your intuitive judgment. Your intuitive judgment, which assumed who Alex is based on the stereotypical image you have in your mind about what would come out of someone sharing these characteristics. Your intuition helped you deduce that based on past experiences, public media, social interactions, the expectations of your friends and family, which inevitably become your own on the subconscious level. And then let's think about how our mind works. Over the past 50 years, the study of the human mind, which is a relatively new science, demonstrated with significant consistency that our mind is quite good at performing certain tasks in a pretty efficient way, thanks to our intuition. Basically, these rules and knowledge that guide our behavior, our judgments, our reactions without us even realizing it. The Nobel Prize winner in economics, mind you, Daniel Kahneman, sums up very nicely in his book, Thinking Fast and Slow, two key aspects to the way our mind works. He calls them System 1, or our intuition, subconscious, unconscious, and System 2, the rational mind, the rational piece to our minds. Let's talk a little more about the intuition, or the collection of prior innately encoded knowledge and experiences which help us act and think fast, and how it affects us. So what System 1 is really good at, what our subconscious and intuition are really good at, first is to infer and invent causes and relationships. So we basically deduce that Alex is a loser because he's not paying attention in class. And it all makes sense, right? And our System 1 neglects ambiguity and suppresses doubt. We didn't even think to question why Alex is not paying attention in class. Is it that he is dumb? Or is it that he has really difficult thoughts on his mind? Is it that he cannot memorize information that he learns at school? Or is it that he's trying to forget some experiences from home? System 1 is biased, and it tends to believe and confirm. So it never really checked my facts. It just believed me right away when I told you all these things about Alex. System 1 tends to exaggerate the features of a person and to put this halo effect. It sort of ignored the positive sides to Alex. The fact that he's helping at home, that he's supporting psychologically his mom, the fact that he's trying to not aggravate his dad and still to come to school and participate, even if in a very aggressive way. It basically said, no, I don't care about these things. I just see the negative features, and I believe that's who Alex is. System 1 focuses on the existing evidence, and it ignores the absent one. Well, what if there's something more to Alex's story? What if his father is actually not his real dad? This is his stepfather, and his real dad was treating him even worse. Over the years, Alex has demonstrated incredible resilience and adaptability. He has had to move from town to town, from school to school, changing homes and friends very often. And still, he has managed to go through all of his first 5 grades in school without failing. What's more, he has a hidden talent. He manages to draw these incredibly elaborate drawings of imaginary machinery. Will this extra information I gave you make you think something different about Alex and his prospects in life? System 1 sometimes substitutes an easier question for a more difficult one. So when I asked you to think hard about Alex's future, you actually needed a lot more information to answer that question. But System 1 just said deeply in your mind, forget about that. I mean, the real question is, does this guy have a chance at life? Of course not. Look at him now. System 1 doesn't believe statistics. Now, I haven't given you any statistics about the Bulgarian educational system, but what if I told you that more than 50% of Bulgarian students are in Alex's situation? That less than half of them have a chance at acquiring at school the necessary competencies and skills to ever have a chance at any successful career in life. Would this change the way you think about this particular guy or about students in Bulgaria in general? Or would you still be focused on the exceptions, as myself, as yourself, and just decide to disregard these statistics? System 1, a big mistake it does, is that it frames our decisions narrowly, in isolation from one another. Well, could we think about who Alex is, not only focusing on him, but also thinking about the entire environment and the various causes for his underperformance today? What if we look at his future as a result of a combination of his personal traits, the expectations he faces from his environment, the conditions that he's put in? Would this provide us with alternative beliefs about what could become of Alex? Well, these are some of the main characteristics of our intuition that we trust so often, and that today shape the majority of expectations and beliefs we have about many of Bulgarians' students. Well, we should know that there is a significant statistic that we're probably overlooking. How is it possible that 40% of Bulgarian 15 and 16-year-olds right now are coming out of school without having mastered basic skills and knowledge needed for any adequate professional in the 21st century? This might make sense to our intuition, which disregards statistics and just focuses on what it knows and what it sees and just says, oh, this does not relate to me, I don't know that, and I don't believe that, or why should I care? But it cannot be okay for our rational thought. The statistic is shocking if we choose to look at it with our rational, logical minds. And it might explain why using our intuition is actually contributing to this shocking reality. Well, there's a set of fascinating experiments conducted by Harvard-based researchers that looks at how self-perception influences the way we perform. They worked with a set of Asian American women and gave them a quantitative test to solve. Half of the group was primed before the test. They took a questionnaire to think about their gender female identity. The other half was primed to think about their Asian American identity. The result? Well, the first group, the female primed one, scored 10% lower than the Asian identity primed group. This is a pretty good evidence that how we think about ourselves and who we are and how we are seen from outside influences how we perform. I mean, everyone knows that women are typically worse in math, and then Asian Americans are actually better in math. Well, just think about how the self-perception of coming from a poor family with big challenges at home and also not performing very well at school influences a child like Alex to think about himself and his prospects in life. This is how he came to be, based on stereotypes. And then there is another characteristic of our System 1 that influences Alex from a very different lever, his teachers. Well, it is a maxim in education training programs and teacher training programs that the expectations a teacher has for their students is actually how far the student would go. If a teacher believes that a student has capacity to be very successful, then the student would likely get there. But the worst part is that teachers typically define how successful students would be based on some ability that they perceive at the very beginning when they start working with the teacher. In Alex's case, he's perceived as a low ability student. So teachers are not very likely to believe, even if he has some successes, that they are related to his ability. They'll more consider it as luck, And again, this has been proven by various studies. Well, this is a pretty grim reality, isn't it? We are wicked, and we're creating more wickedness. Just because of the way we trust and don't realize we trust our intuitive judgments about people. But it doesn't have to be this way. And there is a way for Alex to change his prospects. There is a way for him to discover a hidden talent, to see the value in education, to grow his potential and to become the best. At math, for example. He could decide he wants to apply to university, become an astrophysicist, discover a mini satellite prototype, and maybe even apply for venture startup funding, and then become one of the most successful entrepreneurs in our country and maybe in the entire world. Right. How could this happen? Well, it could happen if one person believes that this is possible for Alex. If one person relentlessly challenges the assumptions of everyone else about who Alex is, if one person questions her intuition, checks her judgment, and gives Alex a chance, and that one person could be a teacher. Well, this is Alex's teacher, Maria. Unlike all others, she came to school in the beginning of the year believing that she's ready for a challenge and that it is her responsibility to have every single one of her students master key skills and academic competencies by the end of the school year. Of course, when she first met Alex, she was appalled, as any normal human being would be, trusting their system one. But she quickly checked herself, and she took Alex's misdemeanor as an invitation. An invitation to discover his hidden talent. An invitation to praise the little steps he was making as he was progressing. An invitation to give him responsibilities in class and make him feel valued and respected. She spent time talking to his mom and understanding his family situation. And she shared her talent and passion with him, drawing. They happened to share it, and they were spending times together after class to draw together. Gradually, Alex started trusting her. And that was the key. Once he trusted her, he believed what she believed about him, that he's capable and that he can succeed. Gradually, he was making steps and becoming more active in classes, particularly in Maria's class, because she was praising every little step he was making in the right direction. And as he did that, she made sure to celebrate his successes with the other teachers in the school. Some of them took note, and little by little, they started changing their attitude towards Alex and giving him a chance. If you met Alex today, you'd not recognize him. He goes to all classes, he's disciplined, he's not good in all subjects, but he's really strong in math. And his classmates can always rely on him to protect them against the older bullies. You know, he's very well prepared to do that. He's figured out his dream. He wants to become an engineer. He knows it's going to be hard, as he still needs to take care of his family and deal with his difficult dad. But he knows that this is his only way out, and the only way for him to create a life very different from the one his parents have created for him. He knows it's possible as he works hard, learns, and trusts his ability to succeed. For help, he's relying on people like his teacher Maria, who believe in him and help him disregard and fight against the stereotypes of his environment and the expectations of his environment. So I leave you with this one request. Envision your Alex, someone you met on the street, at school, at your job, or someone who you will soon meet, someone who is facing conditions surrounding people's expectations and attitudes that put on him all the stereotypes and expect that those will shape his future. What could your role be? in changing that and giving this person a chance? What could you say, do, and most importantly, think to allow that person to succeed? Could you be their teacher? Thank you.